We have appearance of any interested citizens or public comment? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion for the consent agenda.
So
Okay. And you're seconded? Okay, Roger moved and Mike seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Trout,
yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Edwards.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 25 -09 transfer of appropriations in FY 2025 budget.
Okay, so this is something we do every year. Towards the end of the year, we some of my items get too close or we go over budget or under budget. And so we transfer money typically from contingencies into our grade. So the spending has already been authorized, but it's been categorized as a contingency. We used to do it always in June. But our auditors last year said, you gotta do that sooner because you gotta make sure the board approves it before you do it, which makes perfect sense. So that's what these are. Brenda can probably explain in more detail what each one is and the reason for it.
I can do that really quickly since we're done for Roger. So the first one, it's in the transfer. So we went over what we budgeted in our transfers by 227. We've tried to budget through June, so it's not just that we've already done it, but trying to look forward through what we're gonna be doing in June. And most of that was us moving money into Fund 4 and Fund 7, and we do that based on, that calculation is based on our treatment rate. Part of that increase above budget has occurred because of the rate increase in September. So there's that. We did have a contingency of $300,000, so we have a little bit more to use if need be next month. In Fund 6, that was also in the transfers expense section, and that is we've spent a little more labor and vehicle expenses in that one. Fund 50 is our utilities and insurance a little bit higher than what we budgeted for, so we're moving 15,000 there. And then in Fund 60, we had that legal bond debt that was unexpected. We didn't budget for that loan assumption for Gold Hill. And then in the lagoons, we received a lot more septage money revenue than we budgeted for. And we try to keep that ending fund balance around 100,000. And so we moved over 50,000 more than budgeted to Fund 55.
Okay. Any questions?
Brendan,
Yes.
so the 227 is because we absorbed the cost of treatment and didn't pass it on to the ratepayers for.
Not necessarily, no. Whatever we pay in treatment, there's a calculation of that's a portion of that is what we move over into Fund 4 and 7. And with that increase of treatment costs, we didn't budget for that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion then.
I move to approve resolution 2519 as for appropriations fiscal year 2025 budget presented.
Also.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Trout.
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Edwards.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Brenda, financial updates.
All the exciting parts we already talked about, it caused the resolution to occur. And this is through March, and so we're several months on this. But even in March, we were doing quite well, and nothing significant to note outside of the resolution.
Okay.
And it's just, I mean, if you look at this as a follow-up to what we just did, you'll see
Right.
that, our revenues service charges, they're right at 75% where they should be. Our STCs are a little bit higher than what we anticipated. On the other revenues, a lot of that is tied to loan payments and reimbursement, so we're below that, and that's primarily because we haven't spent the loan money and been reimbursed for the loan money as fast as we should. And then if you look on the last page, last two pages, it's the same on the expenditures. Our expenditures are kind of right in line with where we would have expected them to be. So we made pretty good projections. We need to fix some things with trend, minor things with the contingencies, but overall the budget projections are pretty solid.
Yeah, I think the only thing to note is on the antelope reimbursement, because of the ODOT, we may not get that reimbursement timely that was budgeted for the revenue to come in with antelope, since ODOT's still in limbo with their shutdown of,
Was it
are they still?
their IT issues?
Yeah, their IT issues. They weren't issuing any reimbursement payments. So we're sending in our reimbursements for antelope, but we're not getting that loan reimbursement yet. They're still on hold, last I heard. So it's several $1 million that we've turned in for reimbursement, expensed it, but we've not received that money yet.
Is that usual for them to wait that long?
No, it's, they had an IT
Cyber attack.
cyber attack.
Oh.
So everything was frozen. This happened 6-7 weeks ago. And, Craig's been talking with them and he hasn't let me know if there's, last I heard is they're still on hold of everything because they have no IT and no bills they have, but they reassured us they have the reimbursement on hand and when everything is okay, their IT is up and running, they'll give us that money back to us quickly. But, we're all a little fearful that it may roll over into July 1st before we get it. We may not get it timely for fiscal year, which we budgeted for that reimbursement. But we have plenty of money to float us over until then.
We're so financially well set that we could tolerate something like that, not be in trouble.
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty fortunate position on that
Yes.
to withstand that.
Who is the money owed from? DEQ.
Or DEQ, I said ODOT, apologies.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okey-dokey. Next. Update, project updates.
All right, I don't actually have much, but then I'll go fast. Gold Hill, we received the 60% plan set, we reviewed that and sent comments back to our consultant. Antelope Road is substantially complete, which means that we stopped the clock on the project time. And they paved most of the repairs that the county was requiring them to do on Pacific. Had to actually go back and fix a couple of those, but other than that, there's supposedly gonna start working through the list items that we requested. Shady Cook Pump Station number 3, there's working on design, same with Echo Way. And then also same with the J362, the 4th Street Railroad crossings in Gold Hill. And we actually did a lateral relocation because one of the laterals that needed to be replaced or relocated for that project, they had a backup. And so we got an emergency permit through ODOT and went out there to work really good. Our guys got it done really fast within 3/4 of the day. So what's the next one? Oh, Glenwood Stormwater Facility, that one's no news there. And the UV disinfection. The contractor was planning on mobilizing this week. They didn't do a full mobilization. They kind of puttered around out there, but they haven't really actually come out, done anything yet. The project manager for Outlier was on vacation last week. We should see them mobilize out there either the rest of this week or next week. That's everything for me.
Any questions of me? Okey-dokey. TJ, your turn.
Flushing and TV, both good months, 13 and 14 miles. I threw in here to locate numbers from last month. February, for example, we had about 350, and then kind of towards 500 in March, and April was a big month, almost 600 locates. So guys were busy from marking for service lines for all kinds of stuff. Like Nick mentioned, the plant, the operators in preparation of them coming out, they got the basin drained out and dried, so they can get started in that, mooring contact basin. And then, septic at the lagoons, 564,000 gallons, for a total of 84,000. And we had training this last week, confined space training, and so operators can be doing their thing in the manholes and trenches and stuff.
And they can get in those confined spaces and not freak out, right? Or know what to do if
It's
they do
just,
freak out.
it's, yeah, more of if they had an injury, how to get them out safely.
Something happens. Yeah, cool.
Is that an annual research?
That's it from,
Lost my folder.
Yeah. I went through caves. Yeah, in my head. Anyway. Thanks. Any questions for TJ?
Okay, we're going 100 miles an hour here, so I'm gonna go off the works.
That's okay.
Staffing, we did interviews with for our stormwater tech position, and update on that. We have made an offer. The offer's been accepted. We're waiting on background check. And we have a tentative start date of June 16th. For a person who is qualified for both stormwater tech and our GIS tech positions. So that's kind of a nice deal. We put our recruitment for the GIS tech on hold temporarily, just because we want to, we're not sure exactly which slot this person's going to be more comfortable in. So we hired her as a stormwater tech. I want to give her an opportunity to see if the GIS is preferable. She's going to be doing both anyway, but we're not in a huge rush right now unless we get her on board. The strategic plan, I've included that. That is my final draft.
Oh, okay.
So unless there are additions or adjustments or anything that you want to see changed in that, I'll plan to bring that back next month as for adoption. If you read through it after this meeting and notice something, let me know and I can still make changes to it.
Okay.
But it's pretty, it hasn't changed much since the last time I showed it to them.
Okay. That's what I was
did-
gonna ask you, how much different it is, because I got a paper copy of the draft.
Okay, do you want a paper copy of this one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'll give you mine. If anyone else wants it, we can get it to you. The one thing I did add, that wasn't there before is at the back end of it, we have traditionally, tied our annual performance incentive to completion tasks on our, strategic plan, and I just added a last page kind of describes how to do that moving forward. Some people are not gonna like the changes I made, like Carol.
Oh.
I have a kind of a complex formula that made adjustments based on seniority, and I just want to take that out, just make it safe for
Hitting it all over the place.
everybody.
There's supposed to be advantages there. Thank you.
Yeah, so, and then I also put it into the hands of the board as far as when we do the budget, they would allocate, the maximum amount that would go into this, incentive plan, and then the amount that gets distributed is based on their completion of the task, whereas before it was just, it was always based on $20,000 a year or whatever percent we got. So this gives you a little bit more latitude of, how much actually goes into it. So
What specific page is that change made on? Section 5, section.
it's right at the very end, it's very last page, very last. Yeah.
This page.
I saw that
Yeah, so, like I said, if there's any comments now, or later, just let me know, we can make changes, and then I'll present it for adoption, next month.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the copy.
Now, did you do this yourself or have an agency help you write that? Did you write it from just performance in the past or your many years here, adding and subtracting? How who helped you draw this up? Anybody at all?
Yeah.
Or just common sense or education or what?
The team,
Of developing it?
Is there a team for this?
We worked on it all together, but when we did the last one, I found some templates. We did one like way back in 2002 or something, where we had a facilitator and so I got some from that, but I got some templates. I'm pretty sure when I went to business school, that was something we talked about, but this template, this is the same format as what we did with the one 5 years ago. So-
It's professionally written. I thought it was excellent. Everything was spelled out.
Thank you. Update on Gold Hill. So we're still getting closer to the loan transfer. They've given us, there's a letter, what's it called, letter of conditions? Yeah, so we had to sign a letter that we accept all the conditions that were in the loan from when Gold Hill did it. And we're very, very sure that Gold Hill never complied with any of those conditions. But it's nothing really too difficult. There is one weird thing, that we have to maintain a reserve for small, short-lived assets. And you have to put like $20,000 into this every year. And short-lived assets are things that have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years. There's nothing in our infrastructure that has a lifespan of 3 to 5 years. So we're kind of have to feed this reserve, and we can't spend it unless we find something that's a short-lived asset until we retire the loan. So it's kind of I don't know why that's in there.
if you're using it just for however long, and you get close to retiring the loan, can you use that?
Yes, yeah, that's our thought process.
Yeah. And actually, she had responded to me 3 to 5 years, but I looked in the loan document and it says 5 to 15 years, but still there's no short-lived asset that we do that would qualify for that. So we'll just put in 21,000 a year into this SOAR reserve. And I guess I would see it as, that's just pushing us to put out the loan sooner.
Just accrue interest while in that.
Yeah, it's our money.
It's our money.
Yeah.
It's our money, we
Just
just have to
reserve for that.
Yeah,
It
so,
just, we can't spend it on anything other than,
Paying it off.
we have to put that reserve in it and can't use it for anything else other than short-lived assets.
yeah.
Assets that are lives of 5 to 15 years.
So what'll happen is there'll be a point in time where what we owe on a loan is the same as what we have in the short-lived assets. So we pay on the loan, and then all that money is released to.
And then we don't have to
Yeah.
fulfill any more conditions.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Okay.
so it's a weird thing, but,
It's not gonna hurt.
yeah, that's working with the federal government, I guess. They're different. But yeah, everything else is moving along. The regional intertie project is still on schedule. Couple of, things on the funding. I mentioned to some of you that, I was asked to testify to a joint House Senate Committee on Infrastructure. And I did that, last Friday. I don't know if it does any good or not, but that's tied to the request we made through Alex Carlotis's office. I have not heard anything back from the request we made from our federal dissent delegation, White and Berkeley. I did ask a question of Business Oregon. So Business Oregon, their normal water wastewater fund is, they will forgive $700,000 or 50% of the project, whichever is less. And so we've got a loan active with them for the design. So that's what's paying for our design work right now. And I asked them if I could apply for another one for the construction, and I got the answer back that yes, I can. So we'll be able to structure that so we can get another 700,000 in grant in principal forgiveness. That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Business Oregon also suggested they have a special public works fund, which is just a loan, but something I'll look at. You know, we'll be juggling interest rates and things like that. So we'll see if there's any advantages there or not. So that's what we've made so far on the funding. Like I said, the design work is right on schedule. You know, everything is still looking like we'll be able to put this out there early next year. So construction in the spring. So that's the shot. Leisure Pines RV Park. Okay. This is still Gold Hill issue. This is the RV park. It's located on Blackwell Road. It's about a half a mile from where our midstream pump station. I can bring up a map if you want to visualize it. I think I can.
Go ahead.
Let's see if I can. Maybe.
Currently, this RV park is like, it's on septic.
Yeah,
How many units?
it's like 18 units, something like that. Okay, let me see if I can make this work. On a share screen.
They're gonna pay to build a half mile of force main to get into the pump
That's
station?
okay. So so this is Gold Hill. The force main is going to run right along Blackwell Road here, and our pump station is going to be right down here where Blackwell Road comes right up next to I-5. And so
Well, help
this
me out here, which way is north? Is it north?
north is north.
Okay.
So it's this park right here. And what they want to do is they want to connect into the sewer system, but they can't connect into the pipe. That's a really high pressure pipe, and it's bad engineering to tap into force mains. So what we're proposing for them is that they would build a low pressure system with grinder pumps, a grinder pump station. And then they would run a parallel force main. It's only going to be a 2-inch pipe all the way down to where our pump station is right down in here. And so what this agreement allows is that they have to pay for the engineering. I've already got a quote for that, it's $4,000, because it's really just a matter of drawing a circle with the details. Am I wrong?
No, might have an extra meter, a couple words here and there.
So they'll have to pay for that. When we go to bid, that'll be a separate line item on the bid contract. So we'll give them that and say, do you want it or not? And if they want it, they'll have to pay us for that. And then we'll build that. And then once it's all built, they'll have to do whatever they need to do internally. And internally, what they're most likely going to do, you know, they drain to a septic field somewhere. So at that location, they would excavate and put in a little pump station. It would be the grinder pumps that are standard, probably a duplex system, maybe a triplex. And they would all be connected. They would have to pay permit fees, they would have to pay SDCs, and then it would be billed at the Gold Hill rate from then on out. explained all this to them very clearly, and they seem very eager to do this, so. I don't know if they have expansion plans, or if they might be in like complete failure and they have no other choices.
It might be a combination of both.
Yeah, the cost of rebuilding your septic
Yeah.
system might be so big that this is an easy thing to do, but that's what this agreement allows. I've had Joe Kellerman's reviewed it. I've got it signed and notarized by property owners, and it's pretty straightforward. They also have land use issues that they need to address. They need to go through a goal 11 exception, because they're outside of an urban growth boundary. You're not allowed to connect sewer outside of urban growth boundary unless you have an exception to goal 11, which is,
If they have a failing septic, they might.
oh, yeah, I don't think they'll have a problem getting it, but
Yeah.
I think Jackson County, like off the top, that's a $30,000 planning fee. It's expensive. You know, yeah, we did that one, when did we do that? That was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through, and did like a regional, thing, and we just identified all the properties that we could find that should be on sewer, or should be allowed to be on sewer, and we got this blanket Goal 11 exception for a lot of areas in the valley. And got that approved, but this is obviously outside of our district, so we would have never included that. So,
I think it's gonna cost at the end of the day for them, Carl.
that's what,
What do you think it's gonna end up costing them at the end of the day?
Also,
with their STCs, let's see. Yeah, STC is gonna be like $3,000 or $4,000 per space. And they've got, I think, 18 spaces, so that comes to over $70,000 for that. The construction, it's a half mile, but it's only a 2-inch pipe. $40. Yeah, so $40,000 on something like that, maybe. I mean, so it's gonna be over 100,000
Yeah.
total. And then they'll be looking at a monthly service charge of a couple thousand.
But decommissioning a leaky system where DEQ might be cranky, could be expensive.
Yeah, it could be. But, you know, and the way we're doing this, because we're putting it in as a grinder system, as low pressure, some of these other places along the route, if they decide that they, want to go through the process, it'll be available to them. They can put in their own grinder pump and tap into that 2-inch force main without a problem, from an engineering standpoint. They still have to do the land use stuff and all that, but, so there's some other benefit, and then, I don't know if you noticed.
Is that gonna be a public 2-inch force main or?
Yeah, we're gonna make it a public.
Maintained?
Yeah. And then there's like this area here, which is another, some kind of RV park, that has a little bit higher density, so they might say, hey, can we extend this further? Yeah, we probably could. So it does, it opens up some possibilities for a little bit of extra growth out there, or not necessarily growth, but service. Usually with those goal 11 exceptions, they say you can't expand. You can sort what you got, you can't get any bigger. So anyway, that's what that agreement is. We do need an action on that.
How would that play out if someone else wants to add it later? I mean, if I bore the main expense of however much it's gonna be, and then someone wanted to tap in and put out so much money, I wouldn't completely love that.
So, potentially, we could set up a reimbursement district on that. I don't know if it's worth the effort.
well, it kind of depends on the possibilities, if there's
Yeah.
if there's a greater possibility, it might not be a bad idea,
Yeah.
but if there's not, especially not in the near future, it might not be.
Yeah, I think the goal 11 process is a high hurdle, and for someone who's just, one house to go through that process and spend that much money to get the approval, you can fix your septic system. So I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of demand on that. It's not, I'm not gonna, encourage the developer to pursue that. If they decide they want to do it, then, we will.
And the possibility of like neighbors getting together and doing it all. Asking for.
Yeah, I mean, you get in rural areas, neighbors don't always. I live in a rural area, I know this.
No exception to the point. This is truly true. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants, I mean, how many of those people want to pay $150 a
Yeah.
month,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, after
Yeah.
you get up, right?
I just have to ask all.
yeah,
people.
I was more thinking of the RV park behind it.
yeah, this one back up in here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so if they did a reimbursement agreement, it would not apply to that. The way our reimbursement agreements are, if you build a pipe and someone connects into it, it would be part of the reimbursement agreement. If they connect onto it and extend, they're not.
That's because our reimbursement is set up for gravity sewer. This is the opposite.
I don't think it would matter on a situation like that.
They're still extending sewer.
Yeah. Because they're not building, I mean, everyone would have their own pump. If they build a pump station and someone else drains into their pump station, then it could apply.
I see what Roger's saying.
But,
They don't have to build it as far as these guys pay.
Yeah.
Had it.
but that's the way, I mean, that's the way the system's grown forever. It's one person builds part of it and then someone else comes and extends it. And we don't reimburse the first person for what the second person needs.
It'll be interesting to see how it works away.
Yeah.
Later.
So you're looking for a motion?
I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the agreement with Leisure Pines RV Park as presented or modified.
I'll second that.
Modify is come from you if you want to modify it. All right.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Joan, roll call, please.
Kay Harrison.
Yes.
Roger Cone.
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Evan.
Yes.
John Clear.
I was gonna say, I'm not necessarily excited about it. But,
Well, it's interesting to me, sort of, but
Yeah, it'll help a little bit, for the overall financial picture for Gold Hill. And I guess from an environmental standpoint, getting rid of a failing septic system is always good. So
Obviously, their current system is failing and they wouldn't be.
I haven't really gotten into detail. I haven't asked about the reason why they want it. They just said they want it and, I've been talking to their engineer about it.
and yeah, and if they can't, well, I was thinking if they were wanting to expand it with the.
They may not be able to.
Yeah,
that might be a
that's what-
condition that gets placed on
Wait,
them.
I kind of got through
Yeah.
that. Okey dokey. Transition to period first.
Okay, transition to PERS. So all the documentation in place. I mean, we're all set to go. I just contacted them yesterday because they haven't sent us our welcoming package or whatever. And he told me that they're ahead of schedule and everything's still slated to be done by July 1st. My biggest concern really is that what they mean by that is that June 28th, we're gonna get a package and give it to Joan and say, here, get all this data to us by tomorrow. So hopefully that's not their intent. But that is still under, everything's moving on that. And then Brenda and I have a meeting tomorrow with our current retirement plan, Mission Square, to make the adjustments that we need to our current plan to get out of PERS, or to get into PERS. So that part's going to be together. Board elections, congratulations to John and Roger. You crushed them as landslides.
we're some writing.
Yeah, goofy. Okay.
Your position or mine?
I think yours.
Oh, really?
It was the badge.
Okay, so that's all I have. We've got 2 executive sessions. One of them is to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties of a public body with regards to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Our attorney's not here yet, so we'll start with the other one, which is to review and evaluate.
Question,
That's the
Joan,
one. The
should
other one,
we do
Consider
the
matters
claims
related to
first?
cybersecurity.
Yeah, I think we, let's do the claims first.
Yeah.
Before we, okay, so,
And pay your bill.
Yeah, let's do that first, yeah.
yeah, I need a motion to pay the bills. It's been moved,
I'll second.
Mike seconded, roll call please.
Dave Harrison?
Yeah.
Roger Tom?
Yes.
Mike Parson?
Yeah.
Ben Edwards?
Yes.
Franklin?
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Or I'll let you call for the executive session first and then I'll stop the recording.
I forgot to print the thing.
Yeah, I don't have the paper, but
You
I
want to
don't-
make it or do you want to?
I can try to bake it.
Okay,
I don't know if the brain's working on all the folders today.
so we're doing the second one first.
The second one first?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we will be, moving out of open session into executive session to discuss information about the review or approval of programs relating to the security of our sewer system, telecommunications, including cellular, wireless, radio systems, data transfer, by whatever means provided, according to ORS 192.6602M.
Members
This
of
is-
media allowed to attend. We
Huh?
have to say that the media is allowed to attend.
The meeting is allowed to attend.
Media.
The media is allowed to attend. Nobody else is, except select individuals. So we might have to,
You gotta put on a press badge and stay, Mike, or you wanna bug out?
I'll head out.
yeah, because
All right, I'm gonna.
otherwise we have to have a cone of silence, and I'm not sure that's. So,
Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording.
all right, we're going out of executive session now, into open session, and then we'll go into another
No
executive.
decisions were made.
No decisions were made, nothing, inappropriate was discussed, we're just done. Okay. Now, we're going into executive session to consult with our attorney regarding, legal, rights and duties in regard to current litigation or litigation that is more likely than not to be filed. And that's according to ORS 192.6602H. Okay, so we're back in executive session now.
This is amazing.
Okay, we are now out of executive session. Nothing has been discussed nothing has been decided on what was discussed. And now we're in open session and I entertain a motion to adjourn.
One quick question before we do.
Okay.
If next Friday she shows up.
No,
Killing me.
Voting small.
Well, you're gonna get the mom arm.
Yeah.
That's the mom arm.
Right across the face.
Okay. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I said.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Okay.
You gotta be careful.
I know, I just didn't know.